Many years ago, in the late 1990s, I went to South Africa and I landed in Cape Town. And for those of you that don't know, Cape Town is a beautiful city. And here's a picture of it that I pulled off the internet, not that I took. And this looks, it's funny, it looks a lot like Diamond Head. It's got the blue water. It wasn't that blue when I was there, but the city is way bigger than it ever was when I was there. But you see it looks kind of like the Diamond Head crater there, and then behind it is Table Mountain. And by the way, I put this in there. Not only is the place beautiful, but look at their currency. There's a 50 Rand note worth about $3. That is awesome. So there's Table Mountain. There's what I was talking about. So there's several tourist destinations. Tourist destinations. One of them is Table Mountain. Table Mountain. So here we go. You take this, and this is an old ticket from back when I went up there. If you're from South Africa, you'll laugh at this because it's all been replaced. But essentially, you go up, it's a sketchy, straight up the mountain kind of thing. So we're going up the mountain. We see Cape Town from different directions. You take the obligatory photo. That's when I was young, Surf Dad. You take the tourist photo at the top of the mountain. And then the other tourist destination you go to is the Cape of Good Hope. And this is where the Atlantic and Indian Oceans meet. It's really cool. And there's a sign there, I went and was a tourist and I was in front of the sign. And you go up to Lighthouse and you look at the oceans coming together. It's insane. The one thing I didn't notice, and you may see a sign right there. There it is. And it says, baboons are dangerous and attracted by food. And I didn't heed the warning, you guys. And as I drove away, I saw this right-hander, this little right-hander, and I didn't expect that there'd be any waves. And you can see in the background there's this little right-hander peeling off. And I'm like, this coastline is stunning. I don't know the shark situation, but there's this right-hander, and I'm going to run back and get my board. And then I noticed right in front of me, and you may not see it yet, but in the foreground, there's a baboon sitting there. And I'm looking at the right, and he's kind of munching on some grass or something. And the next thing I know, he gets up, and this baboon is huge, man. I'm talking like the thing is as big, not quite as big as me, but it's pretty good size monkey coming at me. And I was like, what's he doing? And he kind of slinks by, and you can see, man, he has mischief in his eyes. And he slides by me, and right behind me where I parked, he jumps into my car and he starts rifling through all my shit. He takes my lunch, he takes my groceries, he's throwing my clothes around. I get up near the car and he's like showing his teeth. He's like, and he was in there for like 15 minutes until I just finally just gave up, just walked over, took a picture. It's like, all right, dude, you do your thing. And finally he gets out and he just right there in the street starts enjoying his lunch, which is my lunch. And the funniest thing is he grabbed my grocery bag and I had like some eggs and which were all broken inside. And I had butter and jam and I had this whole thing of butter and he just sat there and just like ate the entire bucket of butter right there on the beach. And you can see like a lot of time passed because now it's all wind blowing. The right looks like crap. And there's a hell of a lot of rocks out there. If someone's from South Africa, they can tell me what break I'm looking at. That'd be cool. So anyway, I decide I'm going to move on. I'm going to go towards Jeffreys Bay. And just in time, I get this surf forecast. And back in the day, man, you got these synoptic charts. They were either from the newspaper or you get a fax, if anyone remembers the fax. And this is the one I got, and it was looking to be really good at Jeffreys Bay. So I left Cape Town and I drove from Cape Town to Jeffreys Bay. And it's like an 8-hour drive. I took off in the morning. And as I was going, I went along the garden route, by the way, and there's a town called Kinsa. Yo, Griffin, come on. What is up, bro? Glad to have you in. Right on, dude. So anyway, I'm talking about driving from Jeffreys Bay. From Cape Town to Jeffreys Bay, and it's stunning. I mean, look at it. And you're in Africa, so you're kind of freaking out, there's wild animals and there's sharks and there's stuff going on. So then I get to this place called Kinsa, and off to the right, there's a beach road that comes up. And at the top of that beach road, as I'm driving by, they are loading a guy into an old school ambulance. And he's got a bloody, like the whole sheet that is covering him is super bloody. And it's on his left leg, or I think it's his left leg. And they're loading him in. And I'm like, please tell me that's not what I think it is. And 30 minutes later, I'm listening to the radio and they say, hey, news alert, we've had another shark attack. And that was the second one that day. And I clipped the article from the newspaper. And in here, it talks about in 1998, when I was there were 12 attacks. And I've got this all in my head as I'm driving to Jeffreys Bay. I've just seen a shark attack. And apparently this kid, he's 19. I think he was okay. I think I later heard that he was okay, but it says, if you can't read it, basically it says that Mr. Taylor was lucky to be alive after being flung about by the massive 3-meter great white. Like, that's not even fathomable. And this happened at Buffalo Bay, as I mentioned. And I guess he repeatedly poked his finger into the shark's eye. So I don't know if it works or not, but this guy got away with it. It's insane, dude. And so I drove along my way trying to get, like, this is the postcard version. This is what I wanted of Jeffreys Bay. And I have a little clip. I want to play this because I'm going to tell you a little bit about what Jeffreys Bay is like, but I want Jordy to tell you what it's not like. So let's key this.
What about this wave, the Latin American Jeffreys Bay, what they call here Punta Roca? Do you feel at home?
No, I think someone has to be slapped every time they call this J-Bay. I think the only similarity is probably the direction. It's a lot weaker. We obviously haven't had big waves out here, but or swell size, but I feel like J-Bay just has a lot more push and a lot more wall.
Yeah, a lot more push
and
a lot more wall. And I think Jordy summed it up well. I love how Jordy just deadpans right through that and tells it like it is. And I'll tell you, I've surfed a lot of waves in my life. Jeffreys Bay's probably the best wave I've ever surfed. And I'm regular footer, so I'm a fan of a right anyway. But Jeffreys Bay is a special place. It's a sacred place. And when I got there, turned off the road, welcome to Jeffreys Bay, and there it was. This is, again, 20 some odd years ago, and you can see it rifling off. It's overhead. There's 5 guys out, and it's chill. I don't think it's as much like that nowadays, but it was pretty special. And I do have to say, I sat on it for a long time. Like, this was Mecca for me. I was going to get some swell out of this, and I endured a couple of flat spells. I mean, it doesn't break all the time. It can be fickle. But I did get, double overhead barrels, as long as you can ride it. I mean, this thing, the walls that come off the back, that come through super tubes all the way into, like, I think I even got tubes down in salad bowls. Like, we had one swell that connected all the way through. And you just get to finally, I'm from Florida, man, and we pumped every wave we ever got that was 2 feet. Jeffreys Bay was a time when I actually got to let the board, let the rail, let the wave dictate where I'm going and do turns that felt like surfing. Jeffreys Bay let me feel like I was surfing. So enough of that. We're going to get into a lot more about Jeffreys Bay. But, oh, by the way, here's my place. This is where I stayed, right there on the left. And that's an Australian guy that we were hanging. He stayed in my same apartment condo place. And then here's my room, and it overlooked Jeffreys Bay. Like, you could see it reeling off down the end there. And one of the things you don't hear much about are the rocks. And if you're talking about, like, Punta Roca, I feel like I've never surfed Punta Roca, by the way, and I feel bad giving it a hard time without actually, surfing the place. But Jeffreys Bay has these uneven, barnacle encrusted, mussel encrusted rocks that are slippery and sharp. And here's a picture that I took when I was down there. You can see the mussels on it. And there's my foot on the barnacles. I mean, that thing is just like a file ready to just hack you up. And I went a little fast on the slides, but I'm going to end this. We're going to get into some real stuff here in a second. What I was going to tell you was that I ended the trip going through Kruger Park and seeing the animals, which is amazing. Like, you know, there's a rhino in the road and you're driving right through it where he's right in front of you. And then this is in the evening, we're coming back and I stop and there's this, I'm having a stare down with a lion, which is incredible. And then here's basically what I drove. So I basically drove Cape Town all the way through Jeffries to Durban, surfed in Durban a bit. I didn't surf Bolito where they just had that CS event. Maybe we'll talk about that. We'll see how much time we have. But Kruger Park, and I ended up in Kruger Park. All right, so let's do this. I want to jump right into the surf report. So let's jump into the surf report.